We have another god hand on our hands, folks. The new Legend of Korra is a technical action game developed by Platinum Games that isn't afraid of difficulty, and that's far from a bad thing. As a fan of challenging action games like DMC3, God Hand, and Ninja Gaiden 2, Korra fits right into the bill of being another challenging but fair game panned by critics who don't want to learn how to play the game. I'm not a fan of the show, and I enjoyed the gameplay because that's what matters to me the most. Oftentimes I would find myself dying because I was too eager or rushing to finish a fight, when it's timing your strategy and knowing your enemy. When I would rethink my strategy later, I would defeat enemies faster and much easier. To be honest, this game doesn't have the best graphics, but it chose to spend its budget in the right place: its animation and combat. Now, I don't know what people were expecting out of a $15 game, but the animation and combat look and feel over the top, fluid, and fun to watch, just what you would imagine from the show. Some people complain that the game is too hard for kids, but you know what? More adults than kids watch The Legend of Korra, so they chose the perfect audience to aim the game toward. I just honestly don't understand. More gamers say they want a challenge in their games, but when a fair, honest challenge is given to them that requires more than 2 button presses and rewarding combat, it gets shat all over. Rant and difficulty aside, there is an in-game shop where you can buy health, help me items, and combo upgrades. Korra can also level up each of her bending techniques by defeating enemies in combat. This makes her hit harder, extend her attack strings, and fully restore her health. Upon completion, I beat the game on its normal difficulty, and if you find the game too hard with that, there is a casual difficulty that is friendly enough. And after that, I'm sorry, but you kinda suck at video games. But the main point of this video is, don't believe the reviews, because if you do, you are missing out on one of the best licensed games you could play this year. Yeah, it's not perfect. The game does reuse enemies, but so did Bayonetta 1. And people shat on that game about that, and it's still an amazing game. But you know what? As long as the enemies are fun to fight, and the combat is deep and engaging, that's all that matters. Let me put this into perspective for you. Think, if a game had 20 different enemies, and they all had a 2-hit unique attack they repeated, that doesn't make it a better game just because you have more enemies. It just means you have more enemies with 2-hit attacks. And to be truthful, the production of the cutscenes aren't anything to write home about, but they give you enough reason to fight. After you beat the game, you unlock additional difficulties, costumes, and a mode. Wow, locked content that isn't behind a paywall. How long has it been since we've seen that in the industry? The game will take you about 5 to 7 hours to beat, and that's pretty forgiving considering Metal Gear Revengeance and most Platinum games can be beaten in the same length. It's not about the length, it's about the replayability when it comes to action games, and Korra has enough to justify its $15 price tag versus a full $60 retail game. Anyways guys, it's time for me to head off. This has been Dentenshi, love the ugly, peace.